Nobody hates making money more than video game companies. Doesn't matter which one, go ahead, pick your favorite. They detest your money. They don't want it. Specifically when it comes to most games that are over a decade old anyway. It doesn't matter how desperately you really want to play Wild Woody on your Switch, it just isn't happening. So, who do you turn to if ROM sites are just too scary for you? That's right, third-party resellers. But be thankful, because now you have the chance to pay no less than 70 bloopers on an original Sega CD copy to support the reseller's empire. How else are they going to afford that third vacation home, silly? Let's just hope that you even own an original Sega Genesis and Sega CD, and that they both still work after 30 plus years. Ever since I was a little girl, I've always had a fascination with video games and stuff that came out way before I even existed. Like as new and shiny as that Super Mario Sunshine was at the time, I often daydreamed about getting the chance to find an old NES for the first time and shove those gray planks into its big toast hole. I've always loved playing retro games and retro game collecting. Too bad it f***ing sucks.
Miniature robot.
Despite things being worse than they used to be, I'm not delusional when it comes to the prices of old games. It's true, demand has gone up quite a bit for older games in recent years when compared to back when I was a dork-ass teenager, so prices are naturally going to be higher than they were back then. You can't get every GameCube game you could ever possibly want for $5 anymore, and honestly I could deal with that. I don't inherently have a problem with higher prices than what they used to be, but I can't pretend like I don't have a problem with how astronomically insane some of them are. But before I start giving resellers a verbal beating, I do just want to say that in practice, resellers do in fact have a place in the retro video game market. Not everybody has the ability or the desire to dig through old Grandpa Johnson's flea market store in the dark depths of some abandoned warehouse in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, you'll find some of the best deals of your life hitting up some of these spots, and it sucks that there's less opportunity for some truly great deals out there, but not everybody even has the ability or the desire to search through the dirt and grime for these things. Online resellers can give folks the chance to buy almost any old ass game they could possibly want with a single click, and there is some value in that, and I can't deny it. So, who's to blame for Silent Hill 3 costing more than the average American medical bill? Well, for one, it's the big game publishers who don't want to bother making their older classics available legally to the public. They simply don't want to use the simple power of emulation to let you play Tale of the Sun on your PS5. They'd much prefer the chance to maybe someday if they feel like it, but they probably won't, so go f yourself to repackage and resell it to you to maybe eventually make some more money someday maybe. Then on the other hand, there's resellers who can't resist the primal capitalistic urge to siphon every single solitary penny out of game collectors who have more money to blow than most of us could ever even imagine.
Mr. Beast, Joey.
Yes, I remember when Mr. Beast...
When a game has pages upon pages of listings on eBay available at any given time, you cannot argue to me that we're looking at a natural supply and demand situation here. Why make a decent chunk of change on a bunch of folks who want to play Kirby Air Ride when you could make an obscene amount of cash on the occasional desperate gamer who just wants to play a fun game from their childhood on original hardware, to the point that they're willing to spend a fourth of their paycheck on the thing, or those rich collectors who don't even have to think twice before buying anything. And while resellers buying up a bunch of used old items isn't technically, by definition, scalping per se, in some cases it can certainly feel similar. I've been visiting retro game stores nearly all my life, and it's just so sad to see how barren some of these have become. When reseller McFucknuts is hoarding an entire room full of copies of Mario Kart Wii, don't be so shocked when you can't easily find one at your local game store anymore. Some of these resellers hoarding these popular games and participating in obvious market manipulation to drive up prices for common titles sucks, and oh god, don't even get me started on panic buying. These random motherfuckers on the internet with way too much money to burn aren't helping things out either. every single time a console manufacturer announces that a digital storefront might be closing down, people suddenly, magically give a shit about these consoles again and start buying up games like Mad Men. It's no doubt that some resellers like to take advantage of these closings ahead of time to make an extra buck. Sure, it sucks that those who might have interest in a physical copy of the underappreciated banger Puppeteer won't be able to get it for 10 bucks anymore, but at least now you can buy it for the normalized price of 50 instead of 80. If people weren't so willing to shell out whatever resellers are asking for at any given time, if some collectors and gamers could just control themselves a bit, things seriously wouldn't be this bad. And oh boy, there's sealed or graded game collecting. The simple idea that the original plastic around a game's old box makes it worth more, and that you can send it in to some mysterious people that will grade it a certain amount, and that'll make it more valuable and you'll never be able to open the case again or play it. Wow. Oh, I sure do feel bad for that poor investor, I mean affluent gamer. Finding old sealed games is kinda neat, I guess, but I really do believe that video games are designed to be played. Like, sure, I could have kept my copy of Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door sealed for 20 years and profited like 200 bucks, but I'd forfeit having such great memories of, you know, actually playing the fucking video game. Oh ye gods! I forgot about my precious sealed copy of Disney Think Fast for PS2. Oh my goodness, it's multiplying! I need to get this thing graded right away! I gotta send it in! It might be worth 20 bucks to some Disney adult, maybe. I guess. I honestly think it's a shame that we put so much stock into the worthless plastic that surrounds these things. If it wasn't such a bad decision to open them, considering we've decided to put so much value into plastic wrap, I'd say go ahead, open any sealed game, free the game, and play it. But like, maybe don't do that, because then you can, you can sell the game and make bank, because that's just how it works. If you really want a nice playable copy of your favorite game, find a mint condition copy on eBay for a small fraction of the price of a sealed one and put it in a solid plastic protector that can be opened. They make those, you know. Do sealed games even really look any different on your shelf when compared to a minty game in the box? Do they, rich people? So as bad as things are getting for those who actually give a shit about playing older physical games, it's gotten even worse for the investors. I mean, folks who are passionate about slabs with Mario in them, because the bubble's already burst on that front and values have tanked. Good. Things have already gotten crazy on Xbox 360 ever since Microsoft announced that the digital storefront would be closing down. It does not matter how good or absolutely terrible any game is. Any Xbox 360 game could fall victim to resellers pushing prices as far as possible.
360 prices going up.
I happen to own a copy of cult classic Dumpster Fire Ride to Hell Retribution for Xbox. I bought it for 10 bucks. It's been that price for the longest time because, yeah, while it's not as common as one of those Kinect games that'll film your parents fighting while you jump up and down like a f***ing idiot, but take my word for it, there's more than enough copies out there for anyone who would want one. For God knows what reason. I can't emphasize how this game is truly wretched. But apparently people desperately need it right now because it's seriously selling for upwards of $60 at the moment. People are willingly paying over original retail for this. Oh, and you can still get it for like 20 bucks on PS3 right now, so seriously, what are these people on? Correct. So why don't we take a little ride to the hell that is my old game collection? I used to own lots of games that are now worth 15 mortgages these days. I had to sell them to make rent and shit because being a young adult is very difficult. Let's take a look at a few and rank them on the pain scale. A helpful little scale that measures just how much regret I feel after selling these games and how much that makes me want to die a little bit inside. Sure, of course, I could, like anyone else, emulate a good amount of these games, but I definitely can't deny how nice it is to be able to own and play physical copies of some of your favorite games. So my favorite game of all time is Panzer Dragoon Saga. Believe it or not, I used to own a really nice complete in box copy of this cult classic masterpiece of an RPG. Even back in 2014 or so, I had to pay almost $400 for it. You You might be thinking, that's already one expensive-ass game, right? That's true, but to be fair on this one, the game is actually pretty rare, and demand is going to be higher than usual because the game really rocks. But ever since the Black Plague 2 hit, it made people so bored out of their minds that they just had to throw their money at any random bullshit. The game has since skyrocketed to the amount of money Jeff Bezos flushes down the toilet every morning for fun. I could never hope to afford getting this game back again unless I save up for this, and only this, for an entire year. So that's cool. I'd give this like a 4 out of 10 on the pain scale because, to be fair, the game was already pricey as hell in the first place. Kirby Air Ride is a very fun and simple racer for the GameCube that I've always appreciated and liked. The true definition of a cult classic game. Even pre-Black Plague 2, it did fetch some decent prices on the secondhand market from those who probably wanted to play it. Considering it's never been remastered or re-released, it's always cost about 30 to 40 bucks. But now, you're going to be spending double that amount or more for the privilege of playing this on real hardware. Was there any specific rise in interest in Kirby Air Ride around this time? Will my grandma ever learn the difference between an Xbox and a Nintendo? No, so it just comes off like a cynical and unfortunately successful attempt to gouge twice as much money out of folks. This has gotta be a 7 on the pain scale, considering I'd love to own this game again one day, but paying nearly $100 for a game that sold enough copies to be on Player's Choice? That just blows. And now, we have a game that I'll just flat out tell you is a 10 out of 10 on the pain scale. Go Hyper Grind. This wacky skateboarding thing featuring art from the team behind Ren and Stimpy is a fascinating, quirky little exclusive for the GameCube. I paid $30 for the thing back in the mid-2010s. You wanna know how much is setting back buyers now? Oh my god, I think I'm gonna have the most realistic depiction of a panic attack. On this one, I know for a fact some hidden gem videos that included this game certainly did bring a lot of increased interest in it, causing sellers to Hotel Mario Bowser laugh and twiddle their villainous mustaches at the thought of making this one of the most expensive games ever on the console. Is the game in question a little bit uncommon and have a cult fan base? Is there no remaster available on the eShop? Then obviously, only those who are able to throw an entire week's paycheck on one single game should be allowed to purchase the thing. But yeah, retro video game buying and collecting just sucks now, and I can't wait for things to settle down a little bit in the prices department. I think that everyone deserves the chance to give these old games a shot in their original forms. Old games that are actually worth a damn too. I'm not counting the endless sea of old sports games on Super Nintendo. This degree of price gouging just isn't it. I promise you, there's more than enough Pokemon to go around. Millions upon millions. Kids shouldn't have to convince their parents to shell out hundreds of dollars just to try some old ass Pokemon game. This shit is bonkers. I don't think game companies can act so shocked that everybody's emulating and pirating when the only other option is to pay way above retail to play some old ass game. Will things ever get any better? I honestly don't know, but I'm tired of it and I just want people to be able to enjoy games without having to go through all these ridiculous and pricey hoops. I know gaming isn't a necessity, but a girl can dream, right? The world wouldn't be so horrible if the new generations could play games like Mort the Chicken on PS5, god damn it! By the way, MacArthur and Red Potato, thanks for buying the kiwi. Bye!